When you stop chasing a woman, the very first thing that often happens is she begins to question her value to you. This is a powerful shift because most women are used to being pursued, to being reassured that they are wanted, and to receiving constant attention. When that pattern changes and the man no longer gives the same effort, it forces her into a space of reflection. She begins to wonder why the energy has shifted, why the pursuit is gone, and whether she still matters to you in the same way she once believed. That uncertainty can stir deep emotions because it makes her confront the possibility that she may not have as much influence over you as she thought. In relationships and attraction, the balance of attention plays a huge role. When you were giving her consistent focus, she may have assumed that she had you fully, that you were always going to be there waiting for her, ready to meet her needs. But when you step back and remove that pursuit, it interrupts her sense of certainty. Suddenly she questions whether she overestimated her place in your life. This questioning is not just about ego, it's about value, about wondering whether she is as important as she thought she was. This moment of doubt can lead to curiosity. Instead of being completely comfortable, she starts to look closer at your behavior, paying attention to your silence, your calmness, and your lack of chasing. Where before she may have felt secure that she had you wrapped up, now she begins to second guess. She may replay conversations in her mind, think about the times you were there for her, and wonder why that energy is no longer being invested in her. This creates a mental loop where she cannot ignore the new reality. You have become unpredictable in her eyes, and unpredictability draws attention. What makes this so effective is that it's not about manipulation, but about balance. When a man constantly chases, he can lose his sense of self-respect and overinvest in someone who may not appreciate it. By choosing not to chase, you create space for her to reflect on what she truly feels, on whether she values the connection enough to step forward herself. The lack of chasing communicates without words that you are not desperate, that you are not dependent on her validation, and that your attention must be earned, not taken for granted. As she questions her value to you, she may feel an unexpected sense of loss. The absence of pursuit is noticed more than the presence of it ever was. People often recognize the value of something only after it is withdrawn, and women are no different in this respect. Your silence becomes louder than any words, and your calm withdrawal speaks volumes about where you stand. This triggers her natural desire to seek reassurance, to find out if she still holds a place in your life, and it often makes her reconsider how much she values your presence. In that quiet shift, you've moved from the one who needs validation to the one who gives her something to prove. That change alone is enough to make her rethink her behavior, her feelings, and her actions toward you. And that is the power of not chasing. It plants the seed of doubt in her mind, making her question her importance. And that questioning is often the beginning of her coming back to you. When you stop chasing a woman, one of the most significant things she begins to notice is your confidence. Confidence is magnetic because it shows that you are comfortable in your own skin, that you are not afraid to walk away, and that your happiness doesn't depend on anyone else's attention. A man who can stop chasing demonstrates strength and self-respect, qualities that naturally stand out. Women are wired to recognize and respect confidence because it signals leadership, stability, and independence. When you remove the pursuit, it doesn't look like weakness. Instead, it looks like self-assurance, as though you know your worth and don't need to prove it through constant validation seeking. This confidence isn't loud or boastful. It's quiet and steady. It's in the way you carry yourself, the way you don't rush to respond, and the way you hold your own ground when she pulls back. Instead of panicking when she distances herself, you remain calm. Instead of begging for her attention, you focus on your goals, your passions, and your personal growth. That calmness radiates strength, and she begins to notice the shift. She sees that you are not desperate, not needy, and not afraid of losing her, which actually makes you more attractive in her eyes. Chasing often communicates the opposite. It can send the message that you are uncertain about your own value, that you need her approval to feel whole. But when you step back and allow space, the message becomes clear. You are complete as you are. This subtle but powerful difference makes her think twice about how she sees you. Suddenly, she recognizes a man who is not dependent on her, but instead has options, who is not controlled by her actions, but stands firm in his identity. That is the essence of masculine energy, confidence that doesn't waver based on external circumstances. Confidence also has the effect of creating contrast. When you were chasing, your energy might have blended into the background, easily overlooked because it was always available. But once you stop and stand in your strength, she feels the difference. She notices how you move with purpose, how you are not waiting around, and how you no longer revolve your world around her. That shift forces her to look at you in a new light. What she once might have taken for granted now becomes something she can't ignore. Moreover, women naturally test men to see if they truly believe in themselves or if they can be easily swayed. By not chasing, you pass that test. You show that you don't crumble under pressure, that you don't lose your composure when she withdraws. This kind of resilience makes her respect you more because it proves that your confidence isn't an act, it's who you truly are. Respect is at the core of attraction, and when she sees you as a man who respects himself, she is far more likely to respect and value you in return. So when she sees your confidence shine through in your silence and self-control, it plants a powerful seed of attraction that no amount of chasing could ever create. When you stop chasing her, one of the strongest realizations that hits her is the shift of control. In the past, when you pursued, the dynamic leaned in her favor. She knew she could pull away, withhold attention, or test your patience, and you would still show up. That gave her a sense of power, and even if she didn't consciously think about it, she felt the safety of being the one in control. But the moment you step back and stop chasing, the tables turn. She no longer feels that same reassurance, and instead of her holding the power, you've reclaimed it by taking your attention away. Attention is the currency of attraction, and she knows this deep down. When you constantly give it, it loses its value, like water running endlessly from a tap. It's there, so it's overlooked. But when you stop pouring attention into her, suddenly it becomes scarce, and what is scarce is always more valuable. She starts to wonder why the dynamic has changed, why the energy she once controlled so easily no longer revolves around her. That loss of control makes her restless, curious, and even a little insecure because she's no longer sure where she stands with you. This change forces her to reflect on herself. When you aren't chasing, she begins to question what she did or didn't do to cause the shift. She might ask herself if she pushed too hard, if she underestimated you, or if she lost someone who was more valuable than she realized. That uncertainty gnaws at her because women are used to being pursued, validated, and reassured. When that cycle breaks, the silence leaves room for her thoughts, and those thoughts can be haunting. And it's not just about missing your attention, it's about recognizing your strength. By stepping back, you demonstrate that you are not someone who will play games or tolerate disrespect. You show that you are not afraid to walk away if the connection is not mutual. This sends a powerful message. You value yourself enough to not beg for someone's presence. That is a position of power, and she feels it even if she doesn't admit it. The shift of control also awakens a primal instinct in her. She realizes that now she has to move toward you if she wants your energy again. And because she's not used to being in that role, it triggers a chase from her side. The more you hold your ground, the more she feels compelled to regain what she has lost. Ironically, the act of no longer pursuing her often flips the script. Suddenly, she's the one seeking validation, the one trying to prove her value, the one who feels the need to close the distance. By taking a step back and refusing to chase, you are not being cold or cruel. You're simply shifting the energy of the relationship into balance. And in doing so, you remind her that real attraction thrives when both people invest, not when one endlessly chases while the other takes it for granted. When you don't chase her, one of the most powerful things that happens in her mind is the return of curiosity. Curiosity is the spark that ignites attraction, and when she always knows what you're doing, when she's certain of your interest, that curiosity dies down. But when you pull back, when you stop trying to prove yourself or constantly check in, she begins to wonder about you in ways she hasn't before. It's human nature to want what isn't guaranteed. And when you stop making yourself fully available, you become a puzzle she feels the need to solve. She begins to ask herself questions she never had to ask before. Why did he stop calling me? What is he doing now? Who has his attention? Those little questions begin to build in her mind, and curiosity becomes the seed of desire. The more she doesn't know, the more she wants to know. And when you stay grounded in yourself, focus on your life and not her, that mystery deepens. Instead of you chasing her to keep the connection alive, she starts chasing you mentally, trying to piece together why the dynamic has changed and what she has to do to get your attention back. This curiosity also triggers comparison. She starts thinking about the times you were fully invested in her, and now she notices the absence of that energy. The contrast makes her reflect on how much value you added to her life. Before, she may have taken it for granted, assuming your presence was constant, but your absence makes her appreciate what she lost. That appreciation often grows into a desire to reconnect, because curiosity paired with longing is a powerful force. At the same time, curiosity keeps her emotionally hooked. Even if she doesn't act on it right away, the questions linger in her mind. They come back in quiet moments when she sees something that reminds her of you, or when she notices you no longer watching her stories, texting her, or giving her the validation she once relied on. The uncertainty of not knowing what you're thinking or feeling keeps her emotionally engaged, even in your silence. By not chasing, you maintain an air of mystery that fuels attraction. You're no longer predictable, and unpredictability creates excitement. She may not admit it, but a part of her enjoys the thrill of not knowing where she stands. That thrill is what keeps people hooked in relationships, because it prevents complacency. By letting her wonder, you keep the fire alive in ways that constant pursuit never could. Curiosity has always been one of the strongest motivators in human behavior. And when you allow her to feel it by stepping back, you give her the chance to rediscover her own interest in you. Instead of you trying to win her over, she starts to feel the pull of wanting to win you back. And that is where the balance of attraction shifts in your favor. That is why staying grounded and letting curiosity work in your favor often brings her closer without you needing to do anything at all. And when you don't chase her, something very powerful happens in her mind. She starts to respect you more. Respect is one of the deepest foundations of attraction, and without it, nothing else lasts. Many men think that by constantly pursuing a woman, they will eventually win her over. But in reality, over chasing often creates the opposite effect. It makes you seem needy, desperate, and willing to sacrifice your own value just to gain her approval. When you stop chasing, you show her that you are not desperate, that you have self-control, and that your self-worth isn't dependent on her validation. That shift earns you respect in a way that chasing never could. Respect grows from the way she perceives your standards. When you don't chase, you're silently communicating that you value yourself enough not to beg for someone's attention. You're showing that you are a man who chooses rather than just accepts whatever comes his way. This is a subtle but powerful message. Instead of being the man who bends over backward to impress her, you become the man who lets his actions, his lifestyle, and his presence speak for themselves. That's attractive because deep down, women don't respect men who they can easily control. By not chasing, you take yourself out of that position and instead step into the role of someone she looks up to. There's also an element of strength in your restraint. Any man can send endless messages, chase after a woman, and try to prove himself, but it takes a certain strength to pull back and remain centered even when emotions tempt you to act. That strength does not go unnoticed. She begins to see you as someone with discipline, someone who knows his worth, and someone who doesn't crumble under emotional pressure. That quality makes her trust you more and see you as a man who stands firm in who he is. Respect is born from consistency, and when you consistently show that you're not going to lower yourself just to be noticed, her admiration for you grows. Respect also changes the way she engages with you when she does come back around. Instead of treating you as just another option, she approaches you differently because she knows you won't tolerate being treated poorly. She knows you're not going to beg or cling. And that awareness shifts the power dynamic. Now she has to meet your standards if she wants to be a part of your life. That creates a healthier foundation, because you're no longer coming from a place of neediness, but from a place of strength. And when a woman respects you, everything else falls into place more naturally. Respect makes her more attentive, more affectionate, and more invested. Without respect, love fades, but with respect, attraction deepens. That's why the decision not to chase isn't about playing games. It's about setting the tone for how you expect to be treated. By refusing to chase, you earn something far more valuable than momentary attention. You earn lasting respect, and with it, the power to build a deeper connection on your terms. When you don't chase her, she begins to wonder if she has truly lost your attention, and that uncertainty can ignite her curiosity and desire in ways you may not have imagined. Human psychology often responds most strongly to what is scarce, and your attention is no exception. When it's freely given at all times, it loses its impact, but when it's withheld, it becomes valuable. By not chasing, you create a space where she is no longer sure of her hold over you, and that uncertainty plants a seed in her mind that keeps growing until she feels compelled to act. This curiosity drives her to think about you more often. Instead of knowing you'll always be there waiting, she starts questioning whether you've moved on, whether someone else has caught your eye, or whether you're simply too focused on your own life to care. These questions become powerful motivators, and they begin to replay in her mind when she's alone, when she sees your name online, or even when she notices your absence. It's not anger that takes root in her, it's intrigue, and intrigue is one of the strongest sparks of attraction. Over time, curiosity can shift into longing. She may find herself reminiscing about the times when your attention was directed toward her. The silence and space you've created make those memories feel more vivid because they stand in contrast to the present gap. Instead of being suffocated by too much pursuit, she's now left with a subtle hunger to experience that attention again. And the truth is, longing grows strongest in absence. That's why many people realize what they had only after it's no longer being freely offered. Another effect of your silence is that it forces her to reflect on her own feelings. When you're always chasing, she doesn't need to think too much about what she wants because you're doing all the work. But when you stop, the balance shifts. She now has to consider whether she values you enough to take action. That reflection can bring to light emotions she may have ignored or suppressed when she felt certain of your presence. Curiosity leads to questioning, and questioning leads to deeper realization of what she truly feels. This process often makes her more proactive. She may start testing the waters with small gestures, liking your posts, sending casual messages, or finding reasons to cross your path. Those actions are her way of regaining the attention she once took for granted. It's her curiosity transforming into effort. And when a woman begins to invest energy into seeking you out, the dynamic changes entirely in your favor. Not chasing her isn't about manipulation. It's about giving her the space to miss you, to wonder, and to rediscover her own attraction toward you. That curiosity is not just a fleeting thought. It's the very thing that can bring her back into your life with greater intention than before.